All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I say double honor to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone for teaching his word and truth and sincerity and for ruling well. Salutations to my fellow Akim across the four corners of the globe, preaching and prophesying in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And this is the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii coming to you with another quick lesson. And it's going to be on this video that I'm about to play in front of you. This particular video, you know, this woman right here, she's a Filipino woman, and she's married to an Israelite man, okay, a so-called Negro man, particularly, right? And she's voicing her opinion about some of the online hate she's gotten because, you know, they have a daughter, which you, in this world, you would consider that child mixed, but in reality, that child's an Israelite. And so this also shows you, too, that, hey, these curses are real, you know, as they fall upon us. Mind you, this little girl, she's like 1.5 years old. You know, the child is 1.5 years old. So you can quickly say in your mind, like, well, what did this child do to deserve, you know, the hatred that she's getting? And even her father gets it, but she's getting it because her father is getting it, and really because she's an Israelite. You know, that's where the hate comes from. Okay, you get a lot of people that get online and they voice their opinion, and they have something to say about our people, man. And most of what they know about us is through television, through news media, how the world views our people. You know, because the vast majority of us have never left the country, you know, but yet these people still formulate an opinion. You see all the, what you're about to see it, but you see the so-called Asian hate that was proliferated early this year, and then Biden came in and made a quick law for these Asian peoples to make it seem as if a bunch of Asian people are just getting overcome by black people, which they already have a fear of us anyway, you know, that's taught to them through stereotypes. But let me play this real quick.
Exist out there, and that it is a huge problem, thing we encounter all the time. We've gotten emails, death threats even, that are race related. It's crazy. Just nasty, ugly comments, not just about me and my husband, like that we can take, but when you are bullying a 1.5-year-old. So this is just one example of someone who has been continuously harassing us on my DMs. I'm just going to put all of it right here because I just feel like...
Yeah, so you got this person named Begalia. It says, too bad she's probably wound up dumb like her folks. Because that's what these people, these nations believe. They believe that we're just dumb idiots, we're slaves. We're about to disprove a lot of those notions that the so-called white man created, especially during the time of our brutal captivity here in America.
I feel like you guys need to see.
Really the early portions of our brutal captivity here in America.
That this does exist out there, and that it is a...
So let me just play it.
Huge. This is just one example of someone who has been continuously harassing us on my DMs. I'm just going to put all of it right here because I just feel like you guys need to see that this does exist out there, and that it is a huge problem. And I want you to know that if you are a family of color who has received hate, you are not alone. It's not okay. And it's important to stand up for yourself, but also...
Yeah, so we're going to go through all of this stuff that they were saying. Because a lot of these things that these people what they have to say about us is contrived from the devil, the so-called white man. All right? So the first scripture I got is Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So the fact that these different nations use us as a proverb and a byword in this country and abroad, you know, those are the signs of the curses. And again, this little girl, she's a little beautiful baby. In this life right now, she ain't did nothing, but she's an Israelite. So them curses gonna follow. They call it online harassing, hating, and whatever, but it's really a sign of the curses. Let me see if I can find that. Slocky. This is Deuteronomy 28:46, and it says, and I'll start at 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee, Uh, yeah, I'm sorry. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon all thy seed forever. And this little girl, she's a seed of an Israelite. Okay, yeah, her mother might be a so-called Filipino, where she could go back to our people and be one of us too. Okay, but this child right here, she's there, she's bearing a brunt of this hatred, and she ain't do nothing to nobody. Why? Because somebody automatically assumes the worst of you instead of the best of you. So it says your husband's strategy for going to the grocery store. Yep. It says your husband's strategy for going to the grocery store while black is goofy, and you of all people should know it. Ask him what an Asian strategy for walking around in NYC where countless blacks make unwarranted attacks on them for no reason should be. Which that was all a media hype, because that was set from Esau to draw a narrative, a racial narrative. But the average people that watch the news and from any outlet, they don't realize that. Now, real quick, Slakia. Yes, man. And this is all through the prophecies, man. This is all prophecy. That's how. This is one more reason why we know we're the Israelites, man. It says viral images show people of color as anti-Asian perpetrators. That misses the big picture. This is from NBCnews.com. It was posted sometime last year, 2021. It says a new analyst reveals misconception about perpetrators, victims, in the general environment around anti-Asian hate incidents. These can have long-term consequences for racial solidarity, researcher Janelle Wong said, which there's never going to be no racial solidarity, okay? Because you nations and us, we're different people, and you hate us. So it says right here, while news reports and social media have perpetrated the idea that anti-Asian violence is committed mostly by people of color, meaning black people, so-called black people, a new analyst shows the majority of attackers are white. And I ain't got to go too more deep in this article to prove a point where these people, I don't know if this dude Begalia is a Asian or is a Edomite or a bot. You know, we don't know. But these are all misconceptions about our people. When you see when one Israelite when one so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American man, woman, or child do anything, it falls back on the whole race. It's never a one-off. Meanwhile, as this article put in the first paragraph, it says what? A new analyst shows that the majority of attackers are white, not black people. But see, this is what Esau does. He'll do something and then he'll make our people the face of it. Just like with all these mass killings going on for decades. This has been happening under all these different presidencies. Okay, but it was always typically a white thing. Like everybody associated mass killings and school shootings with Edomites, which school shootings happen in Jake schools, but not on the level that it does with Edomites or people that look like Edomites, right? So now, because the white man is getting a bad face behind this shit, what do? They put it on so-called black people. Now, anytime you get in a shootout with one another in the ghetto, they're going to consider that a mass shooting. Meanwhile, just months prior, it was never so. Nobody even cared that we were dying in the hood, in the ghetto, in extraordinary numbers in one weekend. Nobody ever cared about that shit. Now, all of a sudden, because they want to change the narrative, which these different nations, they believe the narrative. Real quick, this is Psalms 86 and 1. I'm sorry, it's supposed to be Psalms 82. Psalms 82 and 1. Yep, this is Psalms 82, verse 1. Nope. Psalms 83 and 1. This is Psalms 83:1. Keep not thy silence, O power, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, Yasha Allah, may be no more in remembrance, right? And this is to keep us separated from one another through false ethnicities, Black, Latino, Hispanic, Native American, Negro, Indian, Mexican, all these different words they use, these names, these proverbs they use against us were set to keep us separate from a nation. They didn't want us to come back together. But again, for lo, verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up their heads. So these different nations, they hate us. And it comes out in a myriad of ways. Okay, it comes out through online hate. It comes out through bigotry. It comes out through what they call it. It's like racism within a society is ingrained. I can't remember the word right now, but yeah, it comes out in a lot of ways. Violence. So it says right here, ask him what an Asian strategy for walking around NYC around countless blacks make unwarranted attacks, where countless blacks make unwarranted attacks on them for no reason should be. Which our people, we do need and I didn't see her husband's video about going to the grocery store while black, because we the ones that get profiled. You gooks, you don't get profiled. Nobody's profiling the so-called Asian for while you in here. A lot of you Asians, you try to act like the white man, and you try to blend in with him, And this is another reason why these nations don't want to see our their daughters with our sons. Well, while we'll give it to her dad, which her dad might be a Jake. He looked like a Filipino, looked like a so-called Filipino man, but hey, her dad loves her husband, man. She said her dad prayed for her future husband when she was a child. And when she got married to her husband, which he's a little older than her, he held that man, he opened that man. I mean, he accepted that man with open arms, brought her down the aisle and everything, man. And then they had this little girl. But again, she can't escape the curses. You think in the kingdom of heaven, you nations going to say anything negative about our children, even if you do see our children with a woman of your nation? So what? You think they're going to say something goofy? Like he called him Jake Goofy. He's a goofy person. Because a lot of what you see on TV is what you believe. You're stupid if that's the case. This FBI says, look, hold on. It says hate crimes against Asians and blacks and black people rise sharply in the U.S. FBI says. So hate crimes against both of these nations of people or groups of people in America is on a rise. And who was the face of it from the jump? Esau. It was an Edomite that ran down into one of them all Asian neighborhoods and shot up a couple of hair salons, man, and put people to death. And they ain't just put Asian people to death. They put so-called Mexican people to death. But you don't hear nothing about that shit, man. This fucking devil comes out and writes an anti-Asian hate bill, man. But our people been catching hell in this country forever, and there's no bill. What they give you, landmark civil rights, a landmark civil rights bill, which really don't protect you, but other groups more so than you. So it says hate crimes targeting people of Asian descent in the U.S. rose by 70% last year, compared with the numbers such as incidents in 2019. The increase coincides with the outbreak of the U.S. And that's where a lot of that happened. And it says, and some races have unjustly blamed Asian Americans because of the 19. The number of hate crimes targeting black people jumped nearly 40% last year compared to 2019 levels. President Joe Biden April signed a hate crimes act to address the rise of anti-Asian American crimes seen in 2020, man. Which crime in New York City, which this dude, this person, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but this person right here is talking about crime statistics in New York, which crime has risen sharply in New York, and all people of all colors and all backgrounds are at the brunt of that crime that's going on, especially so-called black people. It's so-called Negroes, Latino, Native American men and women, shit, and children being attacked in broad daylight, killed in broad daylight in New York City. Crime is just rising all throughout America, man. Not just against Asian people, but like this woman, she defended her child, she defended her family, she defended her husband. So it says right here, let's keep on reading. It says, so we dealt with that point. Ask him what an Asian strategy for matter of fact, it says black and brown and Asian solidarity. You know, it says why the trope, and what is a trope? What is a trope? A trope is a figurative or metaphorical use of a word or expression, like hate, anti-hate. So it says why the trope of black-Asian conflict in the face of anti-Asian violence dismisses solidarity. A recent survey shows that more than 3 out of 4 Asian Americans worry about experiencing hate crimes, harassment. But we've been here for over 300 fucking years, man. Over 350 fucking years, man. You know what I'm saying? And all we receive, excuse my language, but all we receive is hate crime from the so-called white man and you other nations, man. And harassments and discrimination because of that. Among Chinese and Asian Indians, the figures are even higher at 84% to 80%, respectively. These findings may be unsurprising in the light of shocking video footage of anti-Asian violence that has recently gone viral. Viewers of these videos witness perpetrators shoving elderly men and women to the ground, assaulting Asian American men and women in the face and stabbing, blah, 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 blah. So, the trope of Asian conflict. These senseless acts of anti-Asian violence have finally garnered the national attention they deserve, but they have also invoked anti-black sentiment and reignited the trope of black-Asian conflict because some of the videotape perpetrators appear to have been black. Some observers immediately reduced anti-Asian violence to black-Asian conflict. This is not the first time that this trope has been weaponized. Black-Asian conflict and Black-Korean conflict, more specifically, became popular in the LA riots in 1992. That's right. And it's the Asian, not her, but it's the mainly Moab and Ammon, so-called Chinese, and that includes you Koreans and Japanese people that go into the hood and exploit these ghettos, man. You know, you the ones that don't show Jake no mercy when it comes to the cash register, man. You know, a goop woman in the 90s shot a black girl who was trying to get some orange juice, man, and pay for it, and shot her and got probation, man. Committed whole murder, you know? But nobody talks about that kind of shit. Nobody talks about that. It's always on our people. So let's keep on reading. It says, ask him what an Asian strategy for walking around in NYC where countless blacks make unwarranted attacks on them for no reason should be, which this is wrong. This is a lie. It says, though your husband certainly doesn't fit the stereotypes, you know, because they think that we're all just baby daddies. We fuck a whole bunch of women and have a shit ton of children and don't take care of them. We just shiftless. That's a stereotype. And her husband, he's a hardworking man, and he loves his wife. He's in love with this woman, man. He knows, it says, though your husband certainly doesn't fit the stereotype, he knows as well as everyone else that blacks are by far the most violent race in the world. One single incident doesn't erase that. Well, one single incident will make you think that black people are the most violent people in the world. Meanwhile, the so-called white man is gallivanting across the earth, killing people, maiming people, putting poison in their food, stealing their resources, bringing war to them, bringing death to them by their industries. See, the white man is doing all of this in the face of that, and Jake, for all intents and purposes, knocked a couple people upside the head, and now we're the most violent people in the world. We're the most violent people by far. How is that possible? It says that black, it says he knows as well as everyone else that blacks, in which we're not black, we're the Israelites, chiefly from the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay? We're not black people. Blacks, that's a fucking government term. It says that blacks are by far the most violent race in the world. So you trying to tell me the so-called white man who, it's just like this, it's just like this. Let me, hold on. This scene from a movie called Don't Be a Menace while drinking juice in the hood, and you see this Edomite walk into the store and he don't get profiled at all, and Jake walks into the store and Jake gets profiled. Yeah, like as soon as he walked in the store, you didn't hear nothing. It didn't say shit. You know, it didn't say nothing. He just walked in the store. Yeah, so he walked in the store and says, niggas.
Come on, check that. Hurry up and buy. Hurry up and buy. Hurry up and buy. Break yourself.
Yeah, and you don't gotta see no more. You wanna see, you can watch the scene yourself. But it shows you that like the real criminals is the white man. This is a satire of a movie, right? And you know, Jake go up in the store rowdy as fuck anyway, so I know why people treat Jake the way they treat Jake. But at the same time, you can't overlook the real thief. And in this scene, it shows you that the real thief, the real murderer, because Ice traded, and you'll see it. The nigga Loke Dog, he didn't kill he didn't kill these people. Esau did, man. But they got hit with the case. And that's how it is. The real thief, he gets to slide out the back because he has a, you know, he looks preppy. He has a shirt and tie on and glasses. But this dude be a whole demon. And then our people, we got to face the brunt of the criticism. And this devil gets to walk out with no problem.
Hey, hey, hey! You dropped something.
Yeah, that's how they do. That's how they do, man. And that shit is real life. You know? That's real life. But yet this person says that we are the most by far, blacks by far. It says right here, everyone knows as well as he knows, as well as everyone else knows, everyone else that blacks are by far the most violent race in the world. One thing, like, it's, we're not the ones taking over countries and destroying them and killing their people and pushing them into a famine and being demonic. We're not doing that. One single incident doesn't erase that. How? So what proof does this person have that black people are the most violent race in the world? Because our people fought while we were in slavery, chattel slavery, because we fought, we revolted against the enemy who called himself the master. Then we were relegated to the ghetto, to Jim Crow laws, to harsh segregation and oppression. So we're violent because our people enact violence amongst themselves, on themselves. That makes us a violent people. You see the mindset of these people, man. It says, and they are most dangerous to each other. Yeah, but they ain't doing that shit to you. You don't see a group of black, Latino, Native American people rolling on none of these nations, including any Asian people, because Asian is not a race. That's just a bullshit ethnicity that was created by the so-called white man. And it's given to, it's a blanket ethnicity. Right? It says they are most dangerous to each other. That's the strategy he should have. Avoid other black people. Ha ha ha. You see? And that's why I fuck you nations, man. Straight the fuck up. That's why when we put y'all down, it's gonna be over for you nations, man. Especially you hating ass goops, man. Lamentations 2 and 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this a city that men call the perfection of beauty, the whole joy of the earth? The joy of the whole earth, Slakia. The joy of the whole earth. Let me read that again. Lamentations 2 and 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Because when in reality, when we're following these laws, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the laws he gave to our forefathers, that's our wisdom amongst these nations. When they see how we treat and love one another, that's our wisdom amongst these nations, man. And me and the brother Kahan, we can both attest to that. When we go out to these different places, when we go out to these different locations together, hey, they fuck with us, man. Whether they Asian, white, Negro, or whatever, Japhetic, people deal with us. Why? Because of the way we deal with one another. When they see our interactions, and then when we interact with these people, they shout us out. We was at a pizza spot. I know Buster Hart tell us to lay off the pizza, but we were at a pizza spot after camp last week, man. And when we walk, as soon as we walk in the spot, just the two of us, man. Hey, the Asian manager or owner, he shouted us out from behind the counter, man. We ain't shout him out like, yo, we ain't coming in like niggas. No, we came in there quiet, chilling. And he was like, hey, what's going on, man? You know? Why? Because they deal with us. Why? Because we applying these laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability to ourselves and as well to one another. And that's what make us the perfection, the city of that men should call perfection, because Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. Let's keep on reading. All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for. We have found it. We have seen it. You see? And that's why the Lord is going to pay you nations back. This is Isaiah. Yup, this is Isaiah. So, I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. And right, these heathen nations, they help forward in the affliction of our people. Even when Jake is upwardly mobile, trying to live, man. They got to deal with this shit. You know, they got to deal with these heathens saying things against them, speaking against them. You know, this little girl, she gonna grow up and be gorgeous, man. And a lot of these Asian women, they love to have babies with Israelite men, especially Judah, because they call them kids Blasian kids, man. There's a female artist. She's like a prodigy, a music prodigy, and she learned music from her father. Her father was a musician, and she's a Grammy Award winning artist, and her name is her stage name is Her, right? And her mother is Filipino, and her dad is so-called black, and the hair flowing like the Nile River. Gorgeous, man. Gorgeous woman, man. You know? And we're gonna have children with these other nations, as Apostle Tahar said. I really believe that, man. We're gonna have a beautiful variety of Israelites in the kingdom. We already gonna look good anyway. We're already gonna look good from head to toe. No, not a flaw gonna be found in us. Not a flaw is gonna be found in us. But guess what? We're gonna have children like you women of the other nations, man. That's gonna happen, man. A lot of you nations don't like that, but hey, fuck what you like, man.
You are not alone. It's not okay. And it's important to stand up for yourself, but also at the same time.
Yeah, so it says queens. All the data, and I mean all the data, shows that black women are the least desirable demographic. Yeah, well, that's because of the curses, man. The black woman ain't shit on this side, man. She out of order, complete order. So I agree with that. Even lower than Asian men. That's an article. I know I've actually read that article. It's not entirely fair, but if you consider how masculine so many black women are, and the fact that something like 1 out of 2.5 black babies are aborted by black women, not to mention how insanely jelly they are of pretty white women, whatever, man. You can't really feel sorry for them. This is mitigated by some wonderful black women I've met, but exacerbated by how freaking immature, way more immature than their white or Asian counterparts, so many black women are. Even when they are older, like Maxine Waters, who famously stuck her tongue out at a reporter. What a kook. So again, because 1 or 2 our people do something, it blankets the whole nation, man. And it shouldn't. Which, you know, I don't deal with the NW, but so what? You still got some women out there that's doing right, man. And yeah, you see the vast majority of our people that are plastered on TV are these uncouth, unkept Negro, so-called Negro men and women just doing the fuck they want to do. You got websites like World Star Hip Hop who exacerbate, since they want to use that word, who exacerbate the base culture that our people exercise themselves in. But that's not all of us, man. And it's not. It's not. Okay. I want to show this real quick. I got this from Bishop Ayathun, Bishop Elder Ayathun from the elders in Connecticut, doing a live show. Him and Bishop Elder Tazadak did, right? And it was this Edomite named John Wesley. He gave an honest account of the Israelites that were being captured in slavery prior to them going into slavery. So okay. So let me go read straight to it. It says right here. It says well, let's start at number 4. From this time, slavery was nearly extinct till the commencement of the 16th century, when the discovery of America and of the western and eastern coast of Africa gave occasion to the revival of it. It took its rise from the Portuguese, who, to supply Spaniards with men to cultivate their new possessions in America, procured Negroes from Africa, not Africans, Negroes, which are Israelites, whom they sold for slaves to the American Spaniards. This began in 1508, when they imported the first Negroes into Hispaniola. In 1540, Charles V, the King of Spain, determined to put an end to Negro slavery. I wonder why. Because he was a Jake. He was a Jake, man. And he could see himself being thrown in the chains, man. Because our people were still ruling Europe in the 1540s, man. Let's keep on reading. It says, when Charles V determined to put an end to Negro slavery, giving positive orders that all Negro slaves in the Spanish dominions should be set free. And this was accordingly done by Legasca, whom he sent and empowered to free them all, on condition of continuing to labor for their masters. But soon after Legasca returned to Spain, slavery returned and flourished as before. Afterward, other nations, as they acquired possessions in America, followed the example of the Spaniards. And that's why the Lord's going to go to Tarshish first, man. And slavery has taken deep root in most of the American colonies. Such is the nature of slavery, such the beginning of Negro slavery in America. But some may desire to know what kind of country is from which the Negroes brought what sort of men, what temper and behavior. Let's see if they were violent people, as this person pointed out. Behavior are they in their own country, and what manner they are generally. What manner are they generally procured, carried into carried to and treated in America. It says, first, what kind of country is it that from whence they are brought? It is so remarkably horrid, dreary. This is their so-called idea of the land that we came from in Africa. It is so remarkably horrid and dreary and barren that it is a kindness to deliver them out of it. Yeah, right. It says, I believe many have apprehended so, but it is an entire mistake if we may give credit to those who have lived many years therein could have no motive to misrepresent it. It says that part of Africa whence the Negroes are brought, commonly known by the name Guinea, extends along the coast in the whole between 3,000 and 4,000 miles from the river Senegal, 17 degrees north to the line of the line to Cape Sierra Leone, contains 700 miles. Thence runs eastward about 1,500, including the Grain Coast, the Ivory Coast, the Gold Coast, the Slave Coast, and we know that's all Western Africa today, with the large kingdom of Benin. From thence it runs southward about 1,200 miles and contains the kingdom of Congo and Angola. Concerning the first, Senegal and the coast of Mansour Brou, who lived there 16 years, after describing its fruitfulness near the sea, says that the farther you go in from the sea, the more fruitful and well improved is the country, abounding in post, Indian corn, and various fruits. Okay, so they'll tell you that it was the white man's, that white man's burden. He had to take us from a beast state and put us in a captivity to make us civilized. Yeah, right. I'm gonna skip down. I'm gonna keep going because this talks about the land. We're gonna talk about the temperament of the people. Okay. It says number 5, the Gold Coast and the Slave Coast, all who have seen it agree it is exceedingly fruitful and pleasant, producing vast quantities of rice, grain, and plenty of fruit, palm oil, and fish in great abundance, with much tame and wild cattle. The very same account is given of us of the soil that produced the kingdom of Benin, Congo, and Angola. From all which it appears that Guinea in general is far from horrid and dreary, barren and barren country. It's one of the most fruitful as well as most pleasant countries in the known world. Right? Says such is the country in which the Negroes are brought. Let's read this. We come to next to inquire what sort of men they are and what temper and behavior, not in the plantations, but in their native country. And here, likewise, the surest way is to take our account from the eye to the ear witness. Now, those who have lived in Senegal country observed it as inhabited by 3 nations, the Jolos, the Fulis, and Mandingos. The king of the Jolos has under him several ministers who assist the exercise of justice. The chief justice goes in a circuit throughout all dominion and hear complaints and determine controversies. And that's how we know that these are Israelites. Some of the Israelites were worshiping Islam or feigned Islam because of the threat of death, but it happened. It says, and determine controversies. The viceroy goes with him to inspect the behavior of the al-Qadi or governor of each village. The Fulis are governed by their chief men who rule with much moderation. Few of them will drink anything stronger than water. Being strict Mohammedans, the government is easy. The government is easy because the people are of a quiet and good disposition and so well instructed in what is right that a man who wrongs another is the abomination of all. So remember, we were still following our customs, our Israelite customs in Western Africa, man. And this goes back to the scriptures, man. But it wasn't until we came to the Americas that you see the worst of the so-called Negro. You want to know why you see the worst of Jake over here in America? Hey, because we're directly underneath Esau's heel. We're in his neck over here. He's the worst. So what you see happening is Jake, they have that same mentality. I mean, that's not an excuse, but I'm just saying, like, Jake in Africa and West Africa and wherever we was at, we still had a strong sense of culture, nationality, and family, which we do not have in America today. So you see a child left to his own is going to be undisciplined. All right. So it says, let me keep reading. It says, if any of them are known to be made slaves by the white men, they all join to redeem them. So they go get them. You see, they don't play that shit. They didn't play that, man. They not only support all that are old or blind or lame among themselves, but they have frequently supplied the necessities of the Mandingos when they were in distress by famine. So these different groups of Israelites would help one another, man. And that go back to the scriptures, man. I'm going to do a separate lesson on this later, but it's just the water to the Bishop Elder Ayathun for posting this up in the last video him and the elders did, because, man, it just gives an eye-opening view, because Jake don't know what it was like to be in Africa, you know, after the Roman persecution. All you see is what happened to us on the slave fields, and what you see what happened to Jake in America. Because over time in America, our people just deteriorated worse and worse. All right? And that's what you get what you got. This is Jeremiah chapter 24, verse, I'll go straight to the point in 9. And I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb and a taunt, a curse in all places whither I shall drive them. So wherever we at, this is what's happening to us in America. That's what's happening to this little girl. That's what's happening to us. And not the so-called Negro only, but the so-called Latino, Native American, Seminole Indian. And a lot of these women from these other nations that deal with us, man, they got to take on the hate too. They gotta be victims of this shit too. Why? Because they don't want to see, these other nations don't want to see their women with us, but they women love us, man. These women of the other nations love Jake, man. And that's why even our own women hate us, because for so long, all we thought was, especially when you grew up in the ghetto, all you think is that the furthest woman I can get is a black woman. But you see how she turned on you and flipped on you. Fuck that. We can get any woman in the other nations, man. And they love us, man. And we like them too. You know? Hey, so that was a shalom, on to the next.